I can't even imagine any day in any family that the Lord's name shouldn't come up about something.
To do that is a death sentence.
We have not ceased to pray for you and to ask that you may be filled with the knowledge of His will in all spiritual wisdom and understanding, so that you'll walk in a manner worthy of the Lord to please Him in all respects. And so oftentimes we say, almost like magic, if it be thy will. If somebody says to me, Pastor, how can I pray to you? I have an exact answer. There's something very clear in the Bible. It's the will of God. Increasing in the knowledge of God. Strengthened with all power, according to His glorious might, for the attaining of all steadfastness and patience, joyously giving thanks to the Father who has qualified us to share in the inheritance of the saints in light, and increasing in the knowledge of God.
God, He is God of heaven and on earth.
Number one,
beneath.
you do not have to ask if it's the will of God. And secondly, you can pray it with absolute confidence. For He rescued us from the domain of darkness, bearing fruit in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God. And so I want you to think about this prayer seriously, because if somebody prays this prayer for you, it's going to make a difference in your life and transfer us to the kingdom of His beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sin. Yes, it will. How in the world is that prayer going to affect anybody that I know? Pray Colossians chapter 1, 9 through 14. Yes, it will.
Control my choice.
For this reason also, since the day we heard of it, we have not ceased to pray. If somebody asks me, well, Pastor, what can I pray for? Here's what I say. And increasing in the knowledge of God. It doesn't make any difference what's going on in your life. And then watch this. Then He says, prayer strengthened with all power your life, according to His glorious might. So I want you to think about your children, moms and dads. I want you to think about your grandchildren. We can't live a godly life without the Holy Spirit. You can't do it. And think about your friends. And think about, most of all, somebody praying this prayer for you, that you may be filled with the knowledge of His will in all spiritual wisdom and understanding. It'll impact your life. So watch what He says. So let's look at these verses for a few moments. Here's what He says. And to ask, that number one, watch this, ask, and impact means change. Colossians 1, verses 9 through 14. Yes, it will.
The Lord, your
To be filled with the knowledge of His will and all spiritual wisdom and understanding, so that you will walk in a manner worthy of the Lord. Now, that doesn't mean that you're walking up down the road preaching the gospel, but it means His character. So watch what He says. He says, with all spiritual wisdom and understanding. And until we understand the will of God and know His will for our life, then we're still floundering. Now, what did you major in? Of course, you went to school. They didn't have any serve the Lord business. So watch what He says. In what way is your life making a contribution? You know what? She had godly parents. So watch what He says. And so you have the power, the privilege,
In other words,
bearing fruit in every good work. Listen to that. Bearing fruit. They began to teach her to invest her life in something that's worthwhile, and something that has eternal value. What are you saying to your sons and your daughters about their life and God's will for their life? What you're saying is, you want that person to walk in a way, in a manner that is worthy of, that is consistent with His life. What way are you bearing fruit that has a lasting value to it? Who He was. I would hate to think that I lived my life and the only thing I wanted to do is make enough money to have a good time. Walking in a manner that is pleasing to Him. If I'd. What a terrible way to spend one's life and end up in the only thing you have primarily regrets, because you see, money's not going to keep you a minute longer. Which simply means what? That you live a life that is wisely invested. I've got to believe you don't waste it. Bearing fruit in every good work. That is, our life is not a waste, but it makes a contribution. I've got to believe it. So oftentimes kids go to school, they want a job, how they can make the most money. Do you value the person that you're praying for enough to live a godly life? The one thing you don't want to do is end up saying, if I don't. She said, well, I wanted to serve the Lord. Do you believe the Word of God, that what He says He will do? Not only do you have a knowledge of the Word of God, but you got to talk about it. Listen, you could die with a life that has borne fruit, listen, in such a way pleasing the Lord in every way, yearning in your heart for God, desiring to be what he wants you to be, increasing, listen, and he says increasing in the knowledge of God.
In other words,
Your friends, they can't keep you. When God calls us home, there's nothing we can do to stay here 1 second.